Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and welcome to another Victober video. And today I wanted to tell you about some upcoming Victorian read-alongs. So I'm going to be hosting some Victorian literature read-alongs in the last couple of months of the year, and I thought I would talk about them properly on this channel. If you're a member of what used to be the Mega Dickens read-along Discord server, then you will know about these already, but if you're not, then you won't, so I thought I would talk about this here. I've also renamed that Discord server 19th Century Read-alongs. It's had a minor rebrand because I'm going to use it for these read-alongs, not all of which are Dickens, and also for some other read-alongs I'm vaguely thinking about doing next year. If you don't know, this time last year I finished up doing a really big read-along called the Mega Dickens read-along, where we had been reading the works of Charles Dickens in publication order. It was really, really good fun. And a few people on the Discord server where we had been doing that read-along said it would be nice to do another Dickens read-along, a little reprise, an encore of the Mega Dickens read-along, and we voted on which book to read, and we're going to be reading Bleak House. And so I'm going to be hosting a read-along of Bleak House across November and December. I'll put a schedule down below and on the Discord server. Basically, it is about 10 chapters a week, but not necessarily precisely, because I have separated what we're reading week by week by the original monthly parts. So I think we're reading 3 monthly parts a week, and then in the final week we're reading 2, if that makes sense. So it's over 7 weeks, I think. So we're starting on the 3rd of November and then we'll be finished by Christmas, which I thought would be a nice way to fit in Bleak House, but I'll leave the schedule down below. And I'm really looking forward to reading Bleak House again. I've read it many times. It's a real favourite of mine. It's a wonderful, wonderful Dickens book. And I also think because it is so long and has a lot of different characters and a lot of different plot lines, I think it'll be a really good one to read as a group. And if you haven't read Bleak House, I really would recommend it. Do please come along and join us. If you've never read any Dickens before, I wouldn't say Bleak House is like my absolute top recommendation for where to start with Dickens. I would usually say Great Expectations or David Copperfield, because they are in first person, but Bleak House is a dual narrative that is half in first person, half in third person, so I do feel it is slightly more accessible than some Dickens books, though not the most accessible. But I do think it is one of his masterpieces. It would be in my sort of like top tier Dickens. I think I probably usually say it's my 4th favourite Dickens, but like it's very high up in my estimation. I really love it and recommend it, and I think it's fantastic. It is a really interesting novel that tells the story of various characters who are all connected by a court case, a chancery case of Jarndyce and Jarndyce, this legal dispute over a will, or indeed many wills left by someone with a big fortune, and this legal dispute has been going on for generation after generation, and it has kind of sucked all of this family and all of the distant relations of this family into it. And it's such an interesting novel in many ways. There are so many great elements to it, and I love it a lot, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. So yes, I will leave the Discord server down below. That's where we'll be doing the read along and doing all the discussion and everything like that. And I'll also leave the schedule down below. And also, if you would like a reading guide for Bleak House, many years ago, like probably 9 years ago now, I guess, I hosted a really long read along of Bleak House, where we read it in the original monthly parts, month by month, over 18 months. And I did a video every month talking about the monthly parts, like chapter by chapter. So I did like a chapter by chapter breakdown of the whole of Bleak House, and that is still on my channel. I was quite a lot younger then and talked even faster than I do now, by which I mean I talked at the same speed but didn't know how to digitally slow down my videos. I can't guarantee that I would necessarily stand by like every single interpretation I had 9 years ago or whatever, and I will look, you know, younger, but if you want a reading guide as you go through Bleak House, those videos might be helpful, so I'll leave them linked down below as well. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to reading Bleak House. I don't know if I'll make much video content about this read along. Maybe I'll do a vlog. Maybe I'll do like a read along vlog of Bleak House and talk about it as I go. With spoilers or something, that might be fun and a bit different, because I feel like I have plenty of Bleak House videos of the more analytical kind already on this channel. But anyway, I will also leave down below a video I did during the Mega Dickens read-along, which is something like 10 reasons to read Bleak House, which might be of use for you if you're deciding whether or not to join in with this read-along. And I'm really looking forward to reading this. I think I'm going to listen to the audiobook. Well, I will listen to the audiobook. I'm probably going to listen to the audiobook narrated by Miriam Margolyes, which I've listened to before and I really enjoyed, but I might try a different Bleak House audiobook just for fun. So if anyone has any other recommendations of a different Bleak House audiobook, do let me know. I feel like at some point someone had said to me that they had read an audiobook of Bleak House that had two narrators, a different narrator for the first person and the third person chapters, and I think that would be quite fun. So if you were that person who mentioned that, or if anyone has come across a Bleak House audiobook like that, let me know, because that would be great. So that's the Bleak House read-along, #1 read-along over November and December this year. But then I also thought this December it would be nice to do a couple of Victorian Christmas read-alongs. So last November and December, I did a read-along of Charles Dickens's 5 Christmas novellas, which I really enjoyed doing. And I thought it would be nice to have some more Victorian Christmas fun this December. But instead of doing all Dickens, we're going to do one Dickens Christmas novella and 2 other Christmas novellas, because Dickens was not the only author who published Christmas novellas in the Victorian period. The Victorians quite liked a little shortish novel published at Christmas, and they were usually published like the week before Christmas, which I find fascinating because now when Christmas books come out, they come out in like September, but in the Victorian period they were published like the week before Christmas, and I think that's quite fun. I picked out 3 Christmas novellas to read in December, 1 Dickens, as I said, and then 2 by other authors. So there are 3 like mini Christmas read-alongs I'm hosting in December, and you can join in with all 3 or just 1 or whatever you like. So the first one is A Christmas Carol, which we'll be reading the first week of December. A Christmas Carol is very short. All of these are pretty short, and I think it's so wonderful and I love it so much. I did a poll on the Discord server to decide which Charles Dickens Christmas book we wanted to read, and you know, A Christmas Carol won, which was no surprise, because it is the favourite of his Christmas novellas and the best by quite a long way. I do also really love The Haunted Man, but anyway, A Christmas Carol is a wonderful, glorious story about a not very nice man called Scrooge who is visited by some ghosts on Christmas Eve who tell him to mend his ways and be a better person, and it's just glorious. I love the storytelling in it. I love so much about it. I think it's such a quintessentially Dickens piece of writing, and it's just beautiful. So I'm really, really excited to reread this. I read A Christmas Carol most years, and I love it. I'll probably be listening to the audiobook of this as well. There are some great audiobooks out there, and I'm looking forward to that. And then the second week of December, week beginning 8th of December, we're going to be reading The Rose and the Ring by William Makepeace Thackeray. Now, I had not read this before, so it might be terrible. I don't know. I have not much knowledge about this, except that it is one of Thackeray's Christmas books, and it is a satirical work of fantasy that I think Thackeray described as a pantomime, so I'm kind of curious. So William Makepeace Thackeray published, I think like Dickens, I think he published 5 Christmas novellas. He published them under a different name actually, and then later revealed that it was actually him. And The Rose and the Ring is the one that has like stood the test of time the most and is still spoken about, I suppose. But if it's good, I will be interested to read his other Christmas novellas too. And then finally, in the third week of December, the third read-along of the 3, week beginning the 15th of December, we will be reading The Christmas Hirelings by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, which I read last year and just adored. I absolutely loved it so much. And it's really, really festive as well, which not all of Charles Dickens's Christmas novellas are. A Christmas Carol is, but some of the others are not very festive. But The Christmas Hirelings by Mary Elizabeth Braddon is really, really festive. And it is the story of an older man who doesn't have many family members around him, and he's spending Christmas with a couple of friends, and they say, it's not really Christmas, is it, without children? And then one of his friends says, well, why don't we hire some children to come and spend Christmas with us? I know some children, a friend of a friend, who don't usually have a sort of as grand and wealthy a Christmas as we're going to have. Why don't we invite those children to spend Christmas with us so that it's a real Christmas? And then these 3 children come into the house, and it's beautiful. I love The Christmas Hirelings so much. I thought it was so delightful when I read it last year, and I feel like I just want to reread it every year as I do with The Christmas Carol. So I thought it would be lovely to introduce that to more people. So there we go. Those are the read-alongs I'm going to be hosting over the next couple of months. Lots of Dickens and other Victorian joy. And as I said, I've given the Discord server that I use for the Mega Dickens read-along a little rebrand so that I can use it for other 19th century literature read-alongs in the future, because there are a few other things I have vaguely floating around in my mind. I was thinking the other day, as I was listening to the soundtrack of Les Miserables the musical, how much I loved Les Miserables the novel when I read it as a teenager. And I read it a good sort of 17 years ago, but I still remember sentences from it. I remember it very, very well in comparison to books I read like 5 years ago. And that made me think, I should reread Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. I should reread it, and if I reread it, would it be like an all-time favourite novel? Probably. So I should reread it. And then I thought, I reckon probably a lot of people would like to tackle Les Miserables because it is long, so long. Maybe it would be nice to host a read-along of that. So I think my vague plan is to host a read-along of Les Miserables from January to March over 3 months, because it's quite long. I will properly work that out and do a schedule and do like a proper separate announcement video at some point in December, I guess, or November. Maybe it'll be really soon, and this is a slight waste to the end of this video, and I'm just going to repeat it soon. But anyway, I thought it might be fun to do a read-along of Les Miserables, and then I'll keep the Discord server up, and if at any point in the future I want to host any other 19th century literature read-alongs, I can use the Discord server for that. I'm not promising any other read-alongs. I'm not going to do like a monthly or bi-monthly book club or anything like that, because it's just a bit too much to commit to. But if and when I have time and inclination, I may host some other read-alongs via that server. So do please go and join that server if you're interested in 19th century read-alongs. And on the mention of like whether or not I have time, I did just also want to say, you know, I really enjoy hosting read-alongs, but it can sometimes be quite a lot of work. I think especially like moderating a Discord server is sometimes quite time consuming. And I work freelance, so you know, time I spend not doing freelance editing is time I'm not earning money. So if you ever have £1 to spare to subscribe to my tip jar on Patreon, I would really appreciate that. I appreciate not everyone has £1 to spare, or indeed wants to spare £1, which is also absolutely fine. But if you ever do feel like tipping me for read-alongs and such like, that would be very nice, and I will leave my Patreon down below. But as I said, no pressure. These read-alongs will always be hosted here, not on Patreon. I started Patreon, I guess like a year and a half ago now, and I always knew that I wanted to make sure that the classic stuff, which I feel like is what most people come to this channel for, or what a lot of people come to this channel for, is not behind a paywall. That is all for now. I feel like I've rambled on for quite long enough, but thank you very much for watching this video. Do please take part in these read-alongs if you'd like, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.